Yes, so welcome back everyone. Today we'll be looking into setting up Specflow Selenium tests framework from scratch, right? Like I've said before, this is one of the basic questions that you get asked a lot if you've had experience or if you have ever set up automated framework from scratch before. Okay, so today we'll be looking into setting up automation framework. We'll be using Visual Studio as our IDE. Okay, we'll be using writing with C#, which is going to be our programming language. We'll be using Specflow. We could use Specflow as our framework or MSTest. Like I said, I told you guys we have other three different framework that we can use for automated tests. Okay, so let's go into step by step. Okay, so step by step to creating your first Specflow Selenium test framework from scratch. Okay, so let's look at the first step, which is download and install Visual Studio, right? So we've downloaded, I believe all of you except Blessing. Blessing has not downloaded his, So today, Blessing, you have to download yours. After downloading your Visual Studio, which is the first thing to do, the second step is to integrate Specflow extension, okay, with your Visual Studio IDE, right? So after that, the next one is to create your first test project. You create your first test project. Okay, after creating your first test project, the next is to create your folder structure, right? So after creating your folder structure, what you do next is to add your Nugget packages. Okay, so after adding your Nugget packages, the next you do is to create your hooks file or hooks class. Okay, after creating your hooks class, you now create your feature file. We'll go into this in detail. You watch me do it, and you have to do it yourself. You create your feature file. After creating your feature file, the next step is to create step definition file and generate step definition. Okay, then the next is to create projects. Create your project page objects. So you create your project page objects. Then you find your elements on web page. Okay, I've shown us how to find our elements. We'll also do that. You will also see how that is being found. Okay. Then the next one is you add elements to your page objects. So this will have, if you're using page object model, so your elements, you add it on your page objects. If you're not using page object model, as some organization will want you to just use your feature file and your step definition. So you have your elements on your step definition. But for cleaner code, it's always advisable to have your page objects on your elements added to your page objects. Okay. So the next is to create your test method in page objects. You create your test methods in page objects. After that, call test method in your step definition. So just know the step, okay, because these are the steps that you follow. You call your step after you created your method in page object, then you now call the methods in your step definition, okay? And after that, you run your test, right? You run your test. And after running your test, okay, so to create another test, you will have to repeat. So repeat step 7 to 14 for another scenario in your feature file. You repeat from 7. Remember, so the ones that you do once is you download your Visual Studio, which all of you have downloaded. You won't have to download it again. So what you need to do is to integrate your Specflow, create your first test project. Okay, create your folder structure. You don't have to do it again after you must have done it. Add Nugget packages. You don't have to do it again. Create your hooks file. Once you have done it, you don't have to do it again. Create your feature file. So once you've created your feature file, all right, so let's say you have one scenario on it and you've created your step definition from your feature file, you've created your page object, you find elements, you've added element to your page object, created your test method, call your test method in your step definition, you can run your test. Once you've run it and it passed and you want to write another scenario, you start from 7. You don't have to start all over again. You now create feature file again, generate your step definition, create your page object, repeat it up to 14. For another scenario, you do the same. So let's say you've written all the scenarios on your feature file. You generate step definition for all of them at once. Once you've done it, okay, you can now create your page object, right? Find your elements for all of them, add all the elements, create the method for all of them, call the test method for all the steps, right, in your step definition and run your test. And that will be it. Okay, so you watch us do it over and over again, and you will see how it's been done. All right, so we'll go over to our Visual Studio and see how it's been done. So I believe we'll all have our Visual Studio, right? So once you have your Visual Studio and you open your Visual Studio, you will be on this, right? You will be on this particular page, right? When you haven't opened any project or any test that you've run, okay? Or any code you've written, right? So you will be on here, right? So like I said, the step-by-step, the first one is to download your Visual Studio, which we have all downloaded. We've downloaded our Visual Studio. That's why we're here. So for blessing, when you want to download your Visual Studio, you get the link. Once you've downloaded it, you'll be here, right? So what we'll have to do next is the next step after downloading our Visual Studio is to integrate Specflow with extension. Okay, so how do you do that? Right. So because I have integrated my Visual Studio, okay, I've integrated my Visual Studio, but I will show you how that is being done. Right. So ordinarily, when you want to integrate your Visual Studio, you can just click on continue without code. Okay, so let's say I've continued without code. Okay, I've continued without code. Right, and I'm here. Okay, so what you would do is to what? Click on extension, click on manage extension. Okay, once you've done that, right, so note that this is, look, note that the online is highlighted. So once the online is highlighted, you can see it's not on this, it's on online, right? So you come here and type in Specflow. So once you type in Specflow, you can see Specflow. Right, you can see Specflow. Once you see Specflow, you can see I've already integrated it. And know that you integrate it once. Okay, so once you've seen Specflow, you click on it and you click on download. See download somewhere here, or download could be here as well. Click on download. Once you've clicked on download, close it. Close your Visual Studio entirely. Once you've closed this, right, you've clicked on download, you've closed this, okay, then you close your Visual Studio, right? Once you've done that, you will see.
Sorry, Bona, do you want us to be doing it as you're talking, as you're doing yours?
So if you're able to do it as I'm doing it now, you can. But I would suggest you listen and pay attention.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and pay
Thank you.
attention. Once I'm
Thank
done
you.
with it, you will be able to do yours. Okay.
Okay. Thank
So
you. Yeah.
yeah, once you spec, you can also take notes if you want. Right. So once you type in Specflow will come here. Click on it. Once you click on it, ensure you close this window and close your Visual Studio entirely. If you have any Visual Studio open, close it. So once you've closed it, you will see another window will open. Okay, and you will see modify on it. You click on it, right? You will click. Once you click on modify, you will see your Visual Studio will start downloading and start integrating, right? So once it's done, you go back and open your Visual Studio. Okay, you open your Visual Studio, and once you open your Visual Studio, you will find yourself here. New project. Once you've opened it, you'll find yourself here. Okay, you'll find yourself here. That's where you find yourself. But let me start from. So let me start all over again. I have to open another Visual Studio. Okay. So you'll find yourself here. Okay. So once you've integrated it, okay, you've integrated your Visual Studio, you've integrated your Specflow, okay, you will not find yourself here. Now it's time for you to create your first project. Okay, time for you to create your first project. And to create your first project, what do? The step to create your first project is you will click on create a new project. Okay, now click on it, create a new project. Right. Once you've clicked on create a new project, this will open for you. Okay, you'll come to search, okay, and type in Specflow again. Okay, type in Specflow. You will see this Specflow will come up. Specflow. Okay, so once you are looking at it, you can see a project template for creating executable specification with Specflow. Right, you can choose from different .NET framework and test frameworks. All right, so you click on it and you click on next. Okay, so here you give your project name. So you enter your project name. So let's say we want to enter our project name to be PrimeSoft. So we'll have primed, okay, soft automated test. Okay, that's the name we want to give our project, primed soft automated test. Okay, now here is where you add your location. You add your location here, and to add your location, what you will do is you
Sorry,
browse.
Bona, do you mind letting those people in, please? Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Okay. So now after you've added your project name, okay, you need to add location to it. I always advise you ensure or endeavor to ensure that your location is very close to your C drive. Okay, so how to add your location is you click on these three ellipses, which is browse. Browse, okay, come to C drive. So once we're in C drive, we can create a new folder here. Folder, okay, and we'll call it primed soft, okay, automated test projects. Okay, called it prime soft test automated project. We'll click on it. Let's go a step forward. Okay, prime soft automated project should be here. Yes, this is it, prime soft automated test project. Okay, click on it and select. So you can see it's not very close to our C drive. So we'll have c.backward/prime soft automated test project. That's our location where our project lives. Okay, so now this is optional solution name. So you could choose to either untick this, means you are not placing your solution, okay, in the same directly with your directory with your projects, right? It's optional. You can choose to click on it. You can also choose not to click on it. So if I click on it, that means I'm placing solution and project in the same directory. Okay, okay, you can choose to do it, you cannot, but I would like to click on it to place my solution and my directory and my project in the same directory. Okay, once you've done that, you click on create. Okay, so once you've clicked on create, you will have framework. So we'll have different kind of framework, but we are choosing .NET. We'll stick to .NET 6.0. Okay, so here we'll have our test framework. Okay, like I said to you, we'll have N unit, we'll have S unit, and we'll have MS test. Okay, so we will choose MS test as our test framework. And look at what is happening. We are adding add fluent assertion library. Okay, we're adding fluent assertion library to our framework. So you can see create a new Specflow project. That's what we're creating. Note, I chose my test framework as MSTest and my framework. This is my framework, which is .NET 6.0 that we'll be working on. Okay, and my test framework is MSTest and I added fluent assertion library. I will now click on create. Okay, and my test is beginning to create. My project, okay, is creating.
Bona,
Are you okay?
I lost you guys from that downloading of Specflow.
Yeah, I know, that's why I wanted everyone to be here. So don't worry, once I'm done, I will get someone to share his screen and we'll go through it again. Okay. So I want to make it as straightforward as possible. So once we are done creating, you can see, right? You can see the project we've created. So you can see this is the solution. You can see automated tests. You can see prime soft automation, automated test, the name of our project. So because of the test framework that we have, it has created a folder for us, right? It created feature file folder, it created step definition folder. We'll have support and we'll have driver folder, right? So what is the next step? Right, like I mentioned before, the first step, download and install Visual Studio, which will have integrate Specflow with Visual Studio IDE. I've shown you how to integrate Specflow. We've created our first test project, which is what we have created. The next is create folder structure. So at this stage, there are few folder structure that you need to start working with. You can decide to add more folder if you want, but those folder structure that we need, the basic folder structure that we need is our feature file, which we already have, step definition, which we already have, right? The next folder we want to add is our hooks folder. Our hooks folder is where we'll have our base test or base class, okay, base test class, where we'll put what we want. We'll put our before and after scenario, our before and after test. You have mentioned that before. So to add a folder, right, what you do is you come to your project. This is your project. Okay, come on it, right click. Okay, right click on it, go to add. Okay, and once you click on add, you click on new folder. Right, you can see the folder is here now. So you name it, you name your folder, and we want to name our folder hooks. Okay, type hooks and enter. The next folder we want to add is our page objects. Okay, we want to add page objects. You can say, come back to that, your project, right click, click on add, click on new folder. Okay, you can have your page objects. Okay, page objects. Okay, click on enter. So these are the four basic, 1, 2, 3, 4. The four basic folder we'll be using at the moment. You can add your test data folder, you can add your utils folder. Okay, but note that you must have your feature file folder, you must have your hooks folder, you must have your page object folder, you must have your step definition folder. Okay, so those are the four basic folders. So the driver folder is here, it was created by default, and you have the support folder created by default. You can have your test data folder where you store your test data and access it. You can also have your utilities, your utils folder. You can have your earnings folder. So, but to run your automated test, you need this folder for a start. Okay, so after that, the next step, which is the step 5 that we'll have, is to add NuGet packages. To add your NuGet packages. And how do you add your NuGet packages? So you can add your NuGet package on your project level, and you can also add your NuGet package on your solution level. Okay, so now you can see when I hover around the solution, you can see a pop-up that says solution, which is Prime Soft Automated Test, one of one project, means we'll have one solution and one project on it. You can decide to add more projects on one solution. So now, when you add your NuGet packages on your solution level, okay, now when you are creating another project or you're adding another project to that solution, you do not have to download another NuGet packages, right? But when you have your NuGet packages downloaded on your or installed on your project level, and you're adding another project to that particular solution, you will also have to, okay, download that NuGet packages on that project, because you are doing it on the project level. So we'll be doing it on our solution level, and to add your NuGet package on solution level, come to your solution, which is this one. You can say, this is solution, this is project. Okay, come to your solution, right click on it, go on manage NuGet packages. Click on manage NuGet packages, right? You can see some of the NuGet packages that has been installed for us by default. Okay, you can see the reason why this is installed by default is because we chose MSTest. So by default, we'll have MSTest adapter, we'll have Microsoft.net.test.sdk, right? And we'll also have MSTest.test framework. Okay, we'll have Specflow.mstest, and we'll have Specflow.plus.living.plugins, right? So, but we'll still have to download more. So once you come to your NuGet package, okay, so you click on browse, because when we came in, we're on installed. Just note this three. We'll have browse, we'll have install, we'll have update, and we'll have consolidate. So when you have update is some of them that is out of date, okay, that you might need to update. But installed, when you click on installed, is the NuGet packages that you installed. You can see our fluent assertion. I clicked on it and I added it when we were creating our automated test framework. Okay, so now let's go to browse. You come to browse. Okay, once you click on browse, you click on this search button, and you type in, we want to install our Selenium. Okay, type in Selenium. So once you click on Selenium, right, you can see Selenium WebDriver, right? You click on Selenium WebDriver and you click on this box and then you click on install. All right, you click on OK and it will start installing. So once it's done, as you can see, it's done installing. The next one you want to click on is what? Selenium support. Click on Selenium support. The box has been checked already and you install. Okay, click on OK. All right, so we also need, because we'll be using Chrome. Okay, we want to install selenium.webdriver.chrome driver. Okay, if you want to run your test on Edge, you can download selenium.webdriver.ie driver. This is for Internet Explorer. You have your Edge one if you want. Okay, so we'll click on this and then we'll install. So if you want to run it on Firefox, you can also install the Firefox one. Okay, now we've installed our Selenium. Okay, installed. Okay. Now, the next one we want to install is Specflow. Okay, we want to install our Specflow. You click on this, click on Specflow, you can see Specflow. Right, you type in Specflow. Once you type in Specflow, you see NuGet packages for Specflow. Okay, you now click on Specflow and then click on install, and your Specflow will be installed. Okay, so now these are the basic. You can add more if you want. You can add Specflow.this if you want, but these are the basic ones. Okay, have we installed it? Click on install and okay. So we've installed our Specflow. Okay, then when you go to the NuGet packages that we've installed, so these are all the NuGet packages. Take note of them. We've already installed the Fluent assertion. We'll have our Microsoft.net.test.sdk. We'll have our Selenium support. We'll have our Selenium WebDriver. We'll have our Selenium WebDriver.chrome driver. We'll have our Specflow installed. We'll have Specflow.MSTest. We'll have Specflow.LivingDog that came by default. Okay. And yeah. So after that, we are done with installing NuGet packages. So the next step we'll have is to create our hooks class. Okay. We can create our hooks class, which is the next step. All right. So now we can close this. We can close this. So what I usually advise is at this point, before you go creating your hooks class, okay, create a feature file and ensure that your code, your automated test is binding. So once it's binding, you can now start creating your feature file. Okay. But remember, you can go ahead and create your hooks class, but you want to ensure that your test is binding, that everything is okay, that your automated test framework is binding. Okay, so we want to create our feature file. How do we create our feature file? Okay, so we'll come to feature file folder, as you can see here. Right click on it. You can see the feature file folder. Right click on your feature file folder. Click on add. Click on add. Click on new item. Once you've clicked on new item, okay, it's load. You can see your C# item is highlighted. Don't click on it. Come to Specflow. Click on Specflow. Once you've clicked on Specflow, you can see feature file for Specflow. Right, click on feature file for Specflow. Now, this is where you now name whatever feature you want to test. Remember, this is feature file. Let's say we want to test PrimeSoft homepage. Okay, we want to navigate to PrimeSoft homepage. We can now type primed, okay, soft homepage. Okay, so what we want to automate PrimeSoft homepage. Okay, once you've done that, it's dot feature. You can see PrimeSoft homepage dot feature. Right, you click on add. Okay, once you click on add, you can see your feature. Okay, it's giving you, because we have Specflow integrated in it, it has given us like a template which says a scenario. This is where we'll add our scenario name. We can write given user navigator URL and so on. But now, once you come to this point, right, you can see the given is highlighted, but our context, action, and output is not highlighted. You need to ensure that it highlights. If it's not highlighted, that means it has not, it's not binding, right? And you can't create your feature file. So what you do here is you click on save. and you build, you clean and build. See what happens. If you don't clean and build, it won't highlight. So I will click on build, okay, and then click on clean solution. Click on clean solution, okay. Once you do that, you can see clean succeeded, right? You can see clean succeeded. Let me bring this up so you see it. You can see clean succeeded, okay. So now what we need to do is to build, okay. So when I come here and what? Build our solution. Okay, it's ready and it's building. You can see it's building. You can see this. So it's building. So building succeeded. You see, you can see this building succeeded. And once building succeeded, it succeeded with no error. You can see there's no error. Okay, there's no error here. That means the build is succeeded. So it's telling us, when you read at this, it's telling us that the dictate package version outside of dependency constraint. Okay, but it's just a warning. And it's also telling us our Specflow.2.ms build generation 3.9.4 requires Specflow 3.9.4, but both version Specflow this was resolved. So it's not a problem. We haven't had any error. There's no bug here because it's binding. So this one, you wouldn't care much about it because it's not affecting anything. There's no error on it. Okay, so this is your feature file. You can see if you had clean and build, and this content, it was white color before, but now it's purple. Can you see? If it didn't turn to purple, that means it didn't build. So that means there's a nugget package you are missing or something that you haven't done well. Okay, so you can see it. Now, what do you want to do next? Okay, you can now go and create your hooks class. Okay, you can now go and create your hooks class. So how do we create our hooks class? You come to hooks, come to your hooks, you right click. Okay, click on add, click on new item. Now, recall that when we did our Specflow, when we did our feature file, we clicked on feature file for Specflow. This time around, you're not clicking on feature file for Specflow. You are clicking on, because you are creating hooks. You are clicking on Specflow hooks, event binding. Take note of it. For your hooks, you click on Specflow hooks, event binding. Okay? For your feature file, you click on feature file for Specflow. So now we're clicking on Specflow hooks, event binding. We'll click on this, and it's bringing us hooks class. So we'll name it. We'll always name it. The industrial standard is to name it your base test. Some will name it as global, but you can name it as your base test. Okay, that's what I usually name it. You have base test.cs. Okay, you click on add. So once you've clicked on add, okay, you can see by default, it has generated a class for you. It has generated when you can see base test class here. And this are the code that it has generated for you using TechTalk.Specflow. You can see your namespace, PrimeSoft automated test.hooks. You can see your binding, right? You can see publish say class base test. So you can see for additional detail, this is just specified. So you can see your before scenario. I believe most of you are familiar with our before scenario. You can see your before scenario at tag 1. You can see your method public void before scenario. So whatever you want to happen before scenario, any action you want or that you want to be executed before your scenario starts, you add here. Okay, you can see your before scenario order equal to 1, and you can see your after scenario here. Okay, so we'll come to what lives in our before scenario, what lives in our after scenario, and so on. Okay, so now we've done, the next step is, so we've done our feature file, we've created our host class, but we haven't also written code that is meant to be there. Okay, so what we'll do is to write code that will be on our feature file. Okay, so now let's start writing code that will be on our feature file. Okay, so if you want to save, you click on here. Okay, to save, you can see when I hover around here, save all, and when you also see hover here, you say save base test. So this one save a particular class, and this one saves all. So always click on this one to save all. So few things I want you to take note of. All right, to take note of is, you can see here when I say go on your test explorer, you can see this whole thing here is your test explorer. You can see your test explorer, which shows you how many tests you already have, how many that you've run, not run. Okay, so when you want to run your test, you expand it. If I expand this one, so okay, if I expand this one now and expand this, okay, and you can see my prime soft test. If I expand this, this is a calculator feature file that came here that came here by default. Okay, if I expand this one, if you want to run this particular scenario because we haven't got any scenario on it, you can run it. Okay, but we'll add scenario on it, okay, before we start running it. So this is your test explorer. This is where you run your test from, not here. You run your test from here. Okay, well, if you want to run all tests, you click on run all tests in view. It will run all the tests in view. If you just want to run a particular one, you click on it and you come here and run it. Or another way to run it is to right click on the scenario you want to run and then click on run, but we're not running any test at the moment. Yes, so this side is called your solution explorer. Your solution explorer. Okay, you can see your solution explorer here. This is where you have all your folder structure. You have your solution, you have your projects, you have your folder structure. If you want to see what is inside a folder, let's say I close this folder because I can decide to close all this folder, right? So you can go, you can open an, you can go to an organization and you open their automated test framework and everything is like this, right? Don't say, oh, I can't see anything, nothing is on this. Yeah, you just have to come here, click on this drop down, okay? Once you click on it, all the folders will open, right? You want to see what is in the feature file, click on this one, you open. You want to see what is in your hooks class, you click on this. You want to see what is your step definition, you click on this, right? You can open everything. If you want to see all our dependencies, look at it. This is our dependencies. This is our analyzer, this is our framework, this is our packages. You want to see our packages, you click on the drop down, you see all your packages. You want to see your framework, click on this one, you see all our frameworks. Can you say framework? This is our frameworks, Microsoft.NET Core app. When you open it, you can see these are all the components of our frameworks and everything. It's a lot, but don't go into it so you don't get confused. Okay, they are there by default. Okay, so close all of it, close all this. Okay, close your dependencies because they are less of your worries. Okay, so that is it. So what we'll do next is I will continue. Okay, I'll continue from here, ensure that I complete the state, add all the code that is meant to be on our host class. Okay, and then write our feature file. Write our feature file. This is our feature file. Write a test. So what we're going to do is to ensure that we navigate to the website, and then I can stop sharing and get everyone else to get to the point where I am. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're not going to find elements because what we just want to do is to set it up, navigate to the URL, run it, and ensure that it's going to the URL. And then I get every other person to get to the point and we can continue. Okay, so now what are we going to do next? Second. So can you all hear me? Can you see my screen? Confirm if you can see my screen, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Casey confirming.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Casey. So what we're going to do next is to set up our host class, okay? So we're going to write the code that is meant to be in our host class, and then we can continue. Now, so the first thing you're going to do, let's go to our host class. So now, the first thing we're going to do is to write, we already have public sealed class base test, okay? We want to write our method, okay? Which is for this, where we have this. So we're going to remove this because it's been commented out. So it's a code that is there by default, okay? And then we can now write our code, okay? We can now start with public, okay? We have our public. So we have public static You can see IntelliSense is suggesting a code for us. iWebDriver. You can see it's suggesting a code for us. iWebDriver, right? So driver. Yeah, suggesting for us. You can see if that's what you want to write, you just click on tab to accept. Right. Public iWebDriver driver. Right. So inside your before scenario, right, inside your before scenario, or what I will do is, because our main purpose is to ensure that we complete this and run our test. So you will get access to the code. I will drop the code for everyone. Okay. And all you need to do is just to study the code and that's exactly what it is and how to set your automated test. Okay. So I will replace this with the code for your hooks class. Okay. For the one I've written. Yeah, so we'll be fast and ensure that everyone gets here. Okay. And paste. Yes. So I believe you can all see my screen. Let me minimize this again to ensure that you are seeing the most important thing. Let me minimize this. And let me minimize this as well. Yes. So you can see I have public C class based test, public static iWebDriver driver. We'll have our before scenario, and we'll have our public void before scenario. We'll have where we're calling our driver, where we'll say driver equals to new Chrome driver path dot get directory name assembly dot get executing assembly dot location. Okay. So what this code does, this one is driver dot manage window dot maximize. So once this is all we have in our before scenario. Okay, this is all we have in our before scenario. Let's say you want to also run your code on Firefox. You will use this same code. All you do is just to remove, just add driver equal to new Edge driver or driver equals to new Firefox driver, and the same path, the paths remain the same. Okay, if it is Edge driver equal to new Edge driver. Okay, but remember you have to also add the NuGet package for that. So this will what we want to run before our scenario. Okay, so before any scenario, we want Chrome driver to launch. Okay, and once our Chrome driver launch, our browser, once the browser open, we want the browser to what? Maximize. Okay, before the scenario start running. And after our scenario, we want the Chrome driver to close and quit. Okay, driver dot close and driver dot quit are two different things and they do different things. It's an interview question, and I would like all of you to research on it, and we'll discuss it in one of our interview section. So this is all for, remember that I will always save. Okay. Yeah, I have a question. Okay, no question anyways. All right. So now, remember that we always save. All right, so you don't lose anything you've done. So this is our hooks class. Okay. Now we want to go and write our feature file. We want to write our feature file. So while we are writing our feature file, please, someone should send our automated tests URL, not automated, our test URL, PrimeSoft test URL to the chat. Okay, we want to automate that. I want to ensure that once we run our test, that we're able to navigate to that website and view the homepage. Okay, all right. So we'll now go to our step definition. We'll go to our feature file, which is this. Okay, so what is the scenario? This is where you put your scenario. You know how you're writing your manual test. So now you have, what you have here is short notes. You can also add a short notes. Okay, you can also, this is where you add a short notes, such as a user. Remember, we are now in the feature file. As a user of primed softs. Okay, I want to navigate to, or you can say I want to view the home page. Okay, you can say I want to, let's stick with navigate. I want to view the home page. Okay, so I can read about primed softs. Right. So anything that that your usual story, right? This is where you add something like that, but you want to make sure that it makes sense from the testing point of view. Okay. So this is where you write it. So I will remove the tag. Remember, you can always add your tag at regression. You can add at smoke. Okay. But at this point, you can add at integrated test. But at this point, I want to remove it. I want to remove any tag now. Don't go to tag. Okay, so now we'll have our scenario. We want to write our scenario. So what do we want our scenario to be? Okay, so we want our scenario to be PrimeSoft homepage. Okay, we want to say verify. We want to verify user can. That's what we want to do. Navigate to PrimeSoft homepage. Note that you can make it shorter. You can just say PrimeSoft homepage. Okay. Yeah, you can just say PrimeSoft homepage. You can say verify user can navigate to PrimeSoft homepage. Or you can just remove that verify because you want it to be short and easier to read. You can just say PrimeSoft homepage. That's your scenario. You want to automate PrimeSoft homepage. Or you want to automate PrimeSoft navigation. Okay. PrimeSoft. Okay, let me say. PrimeSoft. Okay. Homepage, right? Navigation. So this is more concise and unambiguous. So PrimeSoft homepage. And then you can now start writing your given. Remember that what we're interested here is just to be able to navigate to PrimeSoft homepage. You can now say given user, the same way you write your feature file or you write your test case, okay? Given, but with this one, you do not write expected results. So given, right, user navigate to PrimeSoft. Okay, you can say giving user navigate to PrimeSoft. So we want to parameterize our URL, right? Did anyone send? Yeah, I can see someone. Yes, thank you, Chidi. So we want to add our URL here. We want to add it here, right? As you can see, we have given user navigate to PrimeSoft. Okay, note that it's purple. Okay, now we have written first step. This is just the only one we're going to write. Okay, let me comment this out because we won't be running that one. Comments. This is the only one I want to generate. Okay, so now giving user navigate to PrimeSoft, right? So now this is our feature file. Let's say you want to do every other thing, which we'll be doing in our next class, but I want to set this, run it, ensure that it's running, do it end to end and get all of you at this level and we can continue. Right, giving user navigates to PrimeSoft. That's just what we want to run. Now, once you have recorded that, I said, once you've added all your Node.js package, you create your feature file, you create your hooks, right? You create your feature file, which we have done now. The next thing is to what? Create or generate your step definition. Okay, create or generate your step definition. So there are two ways to do this. Okay, the first one is once you come here on the step, on the line you want to generate, you right click on it. Okay, you can see go to definition, right? And you can see define steps. If you go to definition, let me click on go to definition. It will only give you, yeah, so I can see your hand up. Okay, so it would.
Please, can you start just this part?
Okay.
This step definition, can you just go back a little bit, please? Thank you.
Yeah, let me close this. So now we'll have this, okay? Right. So there are two ways to actually do it. We'll have the one that is go to once you come in the middle, right click, okay? Once you right click, you can see go to definition and define steps. Okay. Now, if you click on go to definition, it will just give you the code snippet, okay, to paste on your step definition. That means you have to manually go on this step definition folder, create your step definition class, copy what you have on there and paste on there. So now it could be a little bit confusing, especially when you are new to it. So I always advise when you are new to it and you are creating your first step definition, always go with define step. Always go with define step. Once you click on define step, 1 second. Always go with define steps. Okay. Once you define your step, once you go on define step, okay. Once you define your step once, right? So let me click on it so you get what I mean. You click on define step. So you can see now that I've clicked on define step, you can see define step Specflow, right? It's giving me that step it want me to define, right? Can you see the step here? You can see the class name. That means if I go ahead to create, right, it will create my step definition class for me. So now, once you have done this for that particular scenario once, right? And let's say I added, what I have on my feature file is create step definition, giving user navigate to URL, right? So once I added and user click on about us, for example, when I'm trying to generate my step definition again, I do not need to create again because I've already created the first time. What I need to do is either use the other or the first one that I show you, which is go on definition, or I use define steps, which I have done now. But the second time around that you're going to do it is just copy to clipboard and paste on your step definition that has already been created. But just focus on what I'm doing now, which is right click. Let me cancel it again. So for your first time, right click, okay, define step, click on create. So you can see it has created our step definition for us with the binding, the namespace, the class, and that particular step for us. Can you see it now? So we have generated our step definition. Right. Now that we have generated our step definition, the next step says create page objects. Right? We want to create our page objects. So now, how do we create our page object? We'll come to this page objects. Okay. Right click on here, click on add, click on new item. Now take notes. When we did feature file, we'll click on feature file. And when we did hooks, we'll click on Specflow hooks event binding. And note that they are all under Specflow. But now we want to create a page object class. We want to create a page object class. You go and click on code, and you click on class, and then you add the name of your page object. Okay, so now our page object will be prime. The name of our page object will be prime soft homepage. Okay, prime soft home. We just want to say prime soft home page objects. Right? Prime soft homepage object. Note that naming this thing or what you want to name your class solely depends on the feature or the scenario you are trying to test, or you're trying to write automated test on it. Okay, let's say we want to test about us. You put about us page objects. You want to test login. What you put here is login page objects. You want to test registration. You put registration page objects. Okay, but because we are doing homepage, we're going to put PrimeSoft homepage. Or you are not mandated to put PrimeSoft. You can just say homepage objects. That's all, and we'll add. So once we've added that, you can see we went through access modifiers. Right? You can see it has an internal class for us. But because we want our step definition to interact with this, to access this our page object, we are going to change this internal class to what? Public class. You see the reason why we did access modifier. If we leave it as internal, it will not be able to access it. That's why we are changing it to what? Public class. Okay. Now we have changed it to public class. What do we do next? We have our public class as PrimeSoft homepage objects. Okay, we'll have our namespace for this particular class. as PrimeSoft automated test.page objects. Right. Now, we want to write, we would initialize our web driver and then initialize our page, our base test here, so that our base test would access our page objects. And how do we do that? So we'll put the same code that we have on our hooks, which is public iWebDriver. If it is Java, you don't need to put I, you just go on, you just put WebDriver. Okay, public iWebDriver, and see it's coming for me, right? Driver. You see, you just put tap to accept. Okay, so once we have done that, we also create another method called public. Then we want to call the name of our page object, right? And our page object is prime. In order to be fast, this is what you want to add. Just this name of this class. Okay, if we continue with our C# programming, you understand what I'm doing. So you have the method here. Okay, and then open your curly braces. Open your curly braces, click on enter. Right, I open the curly braces and click on enter. So I want to initialize my driver, which is driver, okay, equal to base test. Okay, dot driver. And that. Right. So see what we've done here. So the next thing, what we need to do again is to call our driver. Okay, we want to write a method. We want to write a method that will actually, okay, navigate our driver to go to call. I want to write a method that will call our driver to navigate and go to the URL. Okay, so now, like I said, you create your page object, one of the steps, which is step 12. Okay, so step 9 says create page objects. Step 12 says, step 10, because we are not finding any elements at the moment because we are trying to navigate to the URL. You don't need any elements for that. 11 says add element to your page object. We are not adding any elements because we are not clicking or entering anything. What we are doing is just to navigate to the URL. So step 12, create a test method in page object. So that's what we want to create. We want to create a method that will call our driver to go to the URL, right? Just like you're doing your manual testing, okay? You want to, when you want to enter your URL, you go to your Chrome, which we have done, we've called and initiated our Chrome driver, okay? We'll go to your Chrome, then you enter your URL. So that is the method we want to write, okay? So we have public, okay, navigate, okay, navigate, right? We'll add, open and close brackets, navigate, okay, we'll add our open and close brackets. Because we'll string it, okay, inside this you put string, and we want to add it as URL because what we'll string is URL, if you can recall from our step definition. Okay, so what we're going to do next is add our curly braces and click on enter, and then we can now write the code that you're familiar with if you have seen our document, okay, which is driver, the Selenium document that we did send, dot navigate, okay, then open and close brackets, and dot what, go to URL. Okay, yeah, you can see it's out for us. Dot go to URL for our page object, which is PrimeSoft. You can go to your page object and copy it anyways. So just so we're quicker, we'll go to our page object, can copy our class, okay, and then come to our page object, our step definition, okay, paste this equal to, okay, you can just reduce, write your small letter. So this becomes our constructor, okay. So what do we use as our constructor? Remember, you can use anything, basically. So you can use homepage as your constructor. Homepage, okay, equal to new PrimeSoft page object. PrimeSoft page object. Okay, so once you've written that, okay, you put your open and close brackets. You put your open and close brackets, and then your semicolon. Okay, so once you have that, you can see string exception, you show. Once you click on it, it's asking us to use PrimeSoft test.pageObject. You click on it. Once you click on it, you can see there's no error, everything is cleared. And let's go back to our step definition, our page object, to see we have completed this, okay, which is creating test method in our page object. We have created our test method in page objects. The next thing we need to do is to call the test method in our step definition. We need to go back to our step definition. Okay, this is, I can easily access it from here. Step definition. Okay, we need to call our test method in our step definition. Let me add URL here. Okay, because it's string, we'll string the URL. Okay, now, so what we will do is to so now what we will do is to call our page object. Okay, we will create a constructor. We can now say what is the name of. So the reason why it's saying that it must have a return type, okay, is because of the way C# code is being written. So now what we'll add to make it disappear is void. So we don't want it to return anything. Let's say we want it to return, we're calling this method. That's what you also need to keep in mind. Okay, so now when you are clicking on something, your method must be public void because we are not returning anything. Okay, when you are sending something, you want to enter something into a field, your method must be public void. But when you are returning true or false, when you want to assert, it will no longer be public void. It will be what? Public bool. Do you get my point? Right. So the bool, void is what we are missing. And now we've corrected it, you can see. So our method is navigate. So what you do now is you go back to your step definition. Okay, and then remove this code, because this code is here by default. Okay, so what do? You can see our constructor is still not highlighted. So you write your constructor, which is homepage, okay, dot, right? Your method comes up, which is navigate. You can see your method navigate, you click on it, okay, and then you go with your open and close brackets and then your semicolon. Okay, so is it not the same navigate that we have? We'll have it as navigate. Navigate. Okay, so we'll now add our URL in here. Okay, to always go get our URL that will set on our feature file. So once we have done this, you can see we've ended up clearing all the errors and stuff. Okay, you can now save, right? Build your solution. Once you build your solution, okay, you clean your solution and build your solution, right? So he's saying could not find, showing us an error that let's clean again. Let's save. Okay, I think he's still building. It's still building. Build succeeded. So yeah, it's still building when I interrupted it. So it's done building. Okay. So what we're going to do now, so since build is completed, you can see build is completed. Okay. So what we're going to do now is to run our test. So to run our test, we'll have to open it up, scroll and come to this. Let me expand this so you'll see. Okay. And then right click on this and run our test. So what you will see it open, what you will see it do is to open up the URL. Okay, it's running now. You can see it has opened our website. Can you see? And our test has passed. So because I have added, you can see, let me open up the test results so you all see it. open test log. So you can see our test log that is done and it's passed, right? So this navigation has run and passed. So what it did, the reason why it closed was because I added in our hooks class that after scenario, that this should close and quit. Let's say I comment this out. Okay, I've commented it out. Once it ran, I don't want it to close. Okay, let me run it again. If I run it again, it would run. It's running now. You see it's running. And we're here on the website. You can see this is the website that we're testing. So now this is the first step that we have done, which is navigate to the URL. Now, let's say you want to click on About Us, right? What you will do is you repeat the same step, go to your feature file. So you go to your feature file. Let me bring this up. Yeah. So you go to your feature file, you go back to your feature file. This is our feature file for this. You add another step when user click on, okay? When user click on About Us, you generate the step. That's why I said repeat step 7 to 14. And step 7 is create your feature file, which we have created. What you just do is write our feature file here. You just write additional step. Okay, write when user click on About Us. Okay, from here you generate your step definition. You now go and inspect the elements. Okay, click on it, perform a click on it, call the method in your step definition, just like we have done. Okay, create your method in your page object, call it in your step definition, and run your test. Once you do that, it will pass. So that is you performing automated testing. So this is an introduction to it. Okay, we have performed one step. The same thing that we did is what you will keep doing over and over and over again until you finish the same step. So once you have done one line, okay, you do another one, you perform another one, you perform another one. That is how you go. You do it step by step by step until you finish what you have in that third step. Okay, and once you run it, you will see it. You navigate to the website and you start performing clicks. You navigate to the website, start performing clicks About Us, and then you can assert that so thing is displayed, and so on. You can see Chrome is being controlled by automated test software, right? That's what you see when you are running your test. Chrome is being controlled by automated test software. So yes, that's where we'll end it for today. So if I close this, if I go back to our test and I go to our hooks class, okay, and then uncomment this. If I go and uncomment this, this is to uncomment. Once you run your test, okay, once you run your test, it will open up the website. It will navigate. You can see it's opening, it's maximizing, it performs, and it closes, because that's what I wanted to do after running. Yes, that's it for us. Any question?